The pro-abortion movement sent its best and brightest to Capitol Hill yesterday to defend the practice at its most imperiled moment. And it turns out that the pro-abortion best and brightest are not particularly bright.
So abortion should be allowed then, by your definition, for any reason, for any purpose, at any stage, right?
I trust people to make decisions about their body, and then when relevant, I think that they need to consult their medical practitioners.
Okay.
And not
If
Congress.
it is, listen, let me just ask you this question. If it is not lawful and morally acceptable to take the life of a 10-year-old child, I assume you agree with that, right? That would be wrong, correct?
I believe that.
Okay.
That is
And
wrong.
a 2-year-old child, same thing. That would be murder. We would all agree that's wrong. Then what is the principal distinction between the human being that is 2 years old, or 9 months old, or 1 week old, or an hour old, than one that is 8 inches further up the birth canal in the utero? What's the difference? Why is it okay in the latter case and not the former cases?
I trust people to determine what to do with their own bodies.
Wow.
Full stop.
Full stop. Trust bodies, full stop. That woman's name is Amyrambidae. She is a professional abortion activist. That woman has a degree in philosophy from the University of Texas. She graduated from law school. She has worked her entire career in the abortion industry, specifically in public affairs, defending abortion. And when she is confronted with even the most basic objection to abortion, the best defense she can muster is, humana, I trust people to use their bodies, beep, boop, beep, boop. So embarrassing. And it's not even her fault. It's not even her fault. This chickie is probably among the best and brightest in the abortion industry. The problem is not her lack of polish. The problem is that she is being asked to defend the indefensible. This was so hilariously pathetic yesterday on Capitol Hill. It was sad that there are people who have devoted their entire lives to defending infanticide. That is sad. But it was really funny that at the moment where it all matters, at the moment where Roe v. Wade could be overruled, the abortion industry, they've got to get it all together and take their absolute best shot to defend abortion. They've got absolutely nothing. It wasn't just that lady, Amyrambidae. There was another woman, an actual abortionist. Her name is Yashika Robinson. She was asked, also by this hero congressman, Mike Johnson, did an absolutely incredible job. Really, really excellent stuff grilling these people. She was asked, when does a baby become human? Here's her answer.
You're not going to answer this question, but how about this one? How does one qualify as fully human? What makes a human being?
What makes a person a human being
That's
is
right.
them being born, number one. That's why
Wow.
we have birthdays.
What makes a human, this is the highest level of philosophical sophistication from the abortion movement. What makes a human being a human is when they're born. That's why we have birthdays. That's why we have birthdays. Is it now? I thought we had birthdays to commemorate the day when you were born, to commemorate your birth. Birthdays are not called becoming human days. The two have nothing to do with one another. And by the way, birthdays can be fungible. People can induce labor. Sometimes people go into labor a little bit earlier. They can delay when they give birth to some degree. Maybe you were supposed to be born on the 15th, but they actually induce your delivery on the 13th. Or maybe it takes a little bit longer and it's on the 16th. You're telling me that the ontological change, when you become human, is determined by when you pass through 8 inches of a lady's body? Or not even. What if you're not born naturally? What if you're born through or what if you're delivered through a cesarean section? Does that change things? Does the magical thing that happens when you are pushed out of the woman, when you're pushed out of your mother, does that magical thing happen when you're cut out of the woman's abdomen by a doctor? Of course not. This is insane thinking. When do you become, I made this point on the show the other day, but I think it's important to reiterate. Very often, the pro-abortion movement will try to say, well, look, obviously when a baby is born, that's a human being, entitled to all the rights of human beings. But when a baby is still in the womb, they don't have all those rights for some reasons. And they'll try to come to some arbitrary line at which you become a human? Well, when you've got all your fingers, when you've got all your toes, when you develop your eyeballs, when your heart is more recognizably beating, that's when you become a human. That doesn't make very much sense to me. One, because some people are born without their fingers. Some people are born without their toes. Some people are born without those distinguishing features. Some people lose it along the way in their lives if they have an injury. Are you telling me they lose their humanity there? No, of course not. The difference between having partially formed fingers and fully formed fingers is a much more trivial distinction than the difference between being alive and not being alive. We know, even the abortion movement will admit, when a baby is conceived, that baby is alive, has all the characteristics of life. And that baby is a human, a distinct human. Not a dog, not a cat, not a giraffe, a human being. Not a tadpole. Even if it looks a little bit like a tadpole, it's a human being. Don't you think that the distinction between human and not human, the distinction between alive and not alive, is more significant than the distinction between his fingers are a little bit bigger now and not? Don't you think it's more important than the distinction she's making between your 8 inches up the birth canal to your 8 inches out of the birth canal? Hey there, I'm glad you liked that clip. Now what is required is that you ring that, smash that, like that, hit that subscribe, hit the gizmo, do the thing, you get the notifications. Also head on over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, wherever you get your audio podcasts. Subscribe to The Michael Knowles Show. Leave a 5-star review, maybe more if you feel so inclined. We'll see you next time.